Greetings. This is Steve Taylor, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, with an update on the new Rose Tree Media Comprehensive Plan. Most organizations, businesses, and corporations periodically engage in strategic planning in order to take stock of where they are and to set a course for the near future. School districts are no different. Engaged in a variety of mandates, usually ones that come to us from the Department of Education, as well as the day-to-day business of schooling, we need to step back every once in a while to reflect on whether the course we're on is the one best suited to meet the needs of the people we serve, beginning with the students. The formal outcome of this reflection is our strategic plan. In the past, the Department of Education required us to develop and submit such a plan every 6 years. New Chapter 4 regulations adopted in March 2014 both do and don't continue this practice. They do require us to submit several reports comparable to the ones in the former strategic plan, but they don't require us to submit a formal plan itself. Regardless of the state's requirements, we want to be strategic and thoughtful in our approach and to have a clear plan for the near future. Consequently, we created an action plan for the next 3 years derived from the state's planning tool and have received the school board's approval for it. Given the rate at which changes in the field are happening, 3 years seems like a reasonable time frame. The purpose of this video is to share with you the elements of this plan. Why is it important for us to pursue this plan? Mr. Wygo?
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Strategic planning is vitally important to this organization, to this school district, because it will provide a sense of direction and outline measurable goals that will be used to guide our decision-making processes. This strategic plan is a tool that will be useful for guiding day-to-day decisions and also for evaluating progress and changing approaches as we move forward over the next 3 years. In order to make the most of this strategic plan, through the Planning Committee, our district has given careful thought to the strategic objectives it outlines, and then we have backed up these goals with realistic, thoroughly researched, quantifiable benchmarks for evaluating results. We are very proud to be able to refer to Rose Tree Media as a 5-star school district. We can only use such a flattering term because of what our district is today. But in order to maintain this distinction, we must pay very close attention to what our district must become in the near future. This plan will guide us to do just that. Plan with a critical eye on the future. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Steve Taylor and the many members of the Planning Committee for their work in the development of this plan and their continued commitment to the Rose Tree Media School District. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wygo. Earlier, I mentioned reports required by the state. The graphic on the screen shows the relationship of those reports to the larger district plan of which they form one part. Before I go any further, allow me to explain the significance of the title Comprehensive Plan. This new term for the strategic plan marries the old strategic planning process to the school improvement process, a highly data-driven analysis and planning protocol first developed under the federal No Child Left Behind legislation. The term comprehensive fits our plan in several ways. Our process was comprehensive in that it was all-inclusive. Every one of our schools developed a school-level plan to address specific needs identified at the building. Our process was also comprehensive in that it required us to look at a broad range of data. Next, our process was comprehensive in that it required us to look at a broad range of systems that affect outcomes for our students. Finally, it was comprehensive in that it involved the participation of about 1/6 of the entire teaching staff, almost every administrator, parents, and community and business representatives. The process consisted of 2 vital analyses. One was a very structured analysis of data on students' achievement from several sources. There were many pages of questions like the ones you see now. This analysis involved examining the data for evidence of trends over several years, for consistency of performance from grade to grade and subject area to subject area, for patterns of performance among student subgroups, such as students with learning disabilities, and for any discrepancies between predictions for students' performances and their actual performances. The analysis included data on absolute achievement, for example, how many students achieved proficient or advanced scores on the 5th grade PSSA test in math, and also data on growth, or how the same students' performances compared from year to year. In a high-achieving school district like Rose Tree Media, we know our performance is very high compared to those of struggling districts, but our focus is more and more on whether our students are making adequate individual growth for each year they spend in school. As a result of the data analysis, we identified several points of focus for the action plan, which you see on the screen. They target improvements on specific exams, for specific sets of students, for specific subjects, and for both absolute achievement and growth. A second major part of the process involved analysis of 13 key systems that contribute to students' learning as defined by the Department of Education. They're shown on the screen. As I mentioned before, they present a comprehensive array of factors affecting a child's education, from the curriculum, to the attendance policy, to the staffing, to the finances. The protocol we used, one small part of which you see here, was very demanding and uncompromising in terms of these systems. If we could not say that the recommended practices were in place for all students, all the time, in every classroom, we were compelled to say the system was therefore deficient. From this analysis, 5 systems were rated deficient. They were standards-aligned curriculum, effective instructional practices, standards-aligned assessments, identifying and supporting students at risk, and teachers and administrators receiving timely support and intervention. After looking carefully at the data on student achievement and the 13 systems, we took the crucial step of aligning the concerns in the data with the concerns in the systems analysis. From this alignment, we established the final goals for the comprehensive plan. There are 4: effective instructional practices, standards-aligned assessments, standards-aligned curricula, and early intervention for at-risk students. Let's look at the goals one at a time, starting with effective instructional practices. 2 focal points came out of the analysis: the need to promote adequate challenge or rigor, and the need to differentiate instruction. We know these practices are well established in many, if not most, of our classrooms. The target is to spread them to every classroom. To accomplish this, we will take several steps: reinforce our existing lesson plan design, create a video bank of effective teaching practices, promote peer observation and teacher participation during instructional rounds, extend our flexible grouping practices, develop a bank of strategies for differentiation, make sure we challenge our highest achieving students, and promote grit and a growth mindset among all students. The second goal is to promote standards-aligned assessments to monitor student achievement. This goal requires some work on completing the infrastructure of a multi-tiered support system at the middle school and high school, like the one already in place at the elementary level. Such a system will use universal screening tools and a structured intervention process to support students at risk of academic failure. The goal also calls for strengthening of our assessment system through tight alignment with the new Pennsylvania core standards for English language arts, math, science, and social studies, through completion of common assessments that promote consistent instruction, and perhaps most importantly, through the extension of formative assessment, which enables teachers to evaluate students' levels of knowledge and skills and adjust instruction accordingly. Like the second goal, the third aims to strengthen alignment, in particular the alignment of our curriculum in core areas with the new Pennsylvania core standards. This task is nearly finished now, but needs to be completed. It also encompasses creating curriculum maps to promote consistent implementation of curricula across all classrooms. Lastly, under this plan, we aim to strengthen supports for students who are at risk. We already have a strong support network in place for students at the elementary level, and as I mentioned earlier, We are in the process of building a similar system at the middle school and high school. Furthermore, we know some students struggle with the academic curriculum because of issues related to behavior or social skills. Consequently, we intend to strengthen the positive behavior support system at all levels to help students work through a social skills curriculum to enable them to cope better with the academic curriculum. We also want to identify at-risk students as early as possible in order to improve their readiness for school. To that end, we hope to get to know children before they even enter our schools. We would like to start a summer program for 4- and 5-year-olds, for example, designed to assess their readiness for kindergarten and identify any needed supports. Our vision for this program includes a very strong parental education component so that parents would be trained on appropriate developmental expectations and could begin to help children develop skills at home that will lead to school readiness and success. To go along with this initiative, we expect to work more closely with existing pre-K providers to clarify our expectations for children entering school. Plans are great, but without accountability, they will fall flat. We will have 3 years to work on putting these plans into action. The ultimate measures of success for these goals by the end of 2017-2018 will be improvements in the student achievement I mentioned earlier, raising Keystone exam scores, promoting growth for all students, including especially students in subgroups and students predicted to score advanced, and hitting all growth standards. Along the way, there will be a variety of other means to gauge our progress, and we will pay attention to any and all measures available to us. That concludes the explanation of the new comprehensive plan. It won't alter our basic mission of caring for children and doing all we can to see that they grow up as healthy, happy, productive citizens. But it does help focus our energies over the short term. As good as we are now, we can be better in 3 years, and the plan will serve as a roadmap to help us get there. Achieving the goals laid out is no pie-in-the-sky dream either. The plan sets realistic, achievable, measurable targets. We have the resources we need, the determination, and the habits of mind to enable us to get there. Let's embrace the challenges and move ahead together as a single learning community. Thanks to everyone who had a voice in creating the plan, and thanks for listening.